Hey, Tom, it's good to see you. Just wanted to ask you, look, it's hard to win a Super Bowl, right? And now you're going to try to go back to back. You're the last quarterback to do that. I know you're very process oriented, but if your teammates want to know what that challenge is like, how is it different, and what do you tell them?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think the assumption comes from the belief that it'll just be exactly like it was last year. I think that's what you got to not fall into, is that, oh, this is the way it worked last year, so this is the way it'll be this year. And the reality is everything's different. And, the teams will approach you a little bit differently. You're kind of the team everyone's watching now. So there's different degrees of expectation. There's more external noise. There'll be more people that are wanting to come to games, more opportunity to do things outside of football. And I think the reality is you got to stay focused on, what's really important. How do you improve? How do you get better from week to week, day to day? Improve your routine, improve your communication with your teammates, with your coaches. Not allow your mind to really, fall into this position that you make this assumption that just because you did something in February that you'll do it again next February, because that's not the reality of football. It's way too competitive. Even the games, a lot of games we won last year were very razor thin margins. One or two plays, make the difference in every game. So I'm, from how I feel about it and how BA has talked about it with our team, he's done a great job of keeping us focused, keeping the intensity there, allowing us to continue to work out together and communicate and make improvements that we need to make, because I feel like, we're not finished products. And it was really our first opportunity to play together last year. And there's a lot of opportunity for us to grow into something that could be, very different. We got to improve the things that we did well. And we got to, certainly build on a lot of things that we didn't do very well. So all those things can be improved. And I think that's a commitment to a daily process of trying to improve. And that just comes from working at it. And we have a lot of guys who like to do that. Very competitive group of guys.
Next, we'll go to Jenna Lee.
Hey, Tom, great to see you. Great to see you healthy. I don't think most of us had any idea that your knee was bothering you as much as it was last year. Coach Clyde told us last week that it was a nagging nuisance for you. I didn't know if you were comfortable talking about the extent of your knee injury and just what it's taken for you to get back to where you are right now, where it seems like you're throwing the ball pretty comfortably.
Yeah, I feel really good. Every player, deals with different things. And, I never like to talk about injuries. I'm a little bit old school in that way, in that, you deal with them and then, you just make the most of them. And I think the good part is I'll be able to commit a lot of time to other parts. I'm sure I'll be faced with different adversities this year, but I had to spend a lot of time tending to that particular injury, which happens when you have something that's, you need to ultimately have surgery on to get fixed. So I had my knee surgery, and that was about 15 weeks ago today. And really happy with, kind of my, rehab process. And it's been great communication. Alex and I worked really hard at trying to get back to full speed to get what I need to do to begin to improve. And it's been a good process of learning, and I feel like I'm there. And now from this point to the beginning of the season, to beginning of training camp, I really feel like I can really work hard at, football improvement, as opposed to getting back to a rehab, place where you're more baseline. But it was a injury I dealt with, really, since last, April, May. And, I knew I would have to do something at the end of the year, and happy I did it. And it was probably, something that was it certainly needed to be done, and there's a great outcome. So I'm very happy about that. I feel I'll be able to do some different things this year than I was able to do last year.
Next, we'll go to Ira Kaufman.
Tom, when I mentioned to Bruce Arians yesterday, Tom, about guarding against complacency for a defending champ, the first thing he mentioned was Tom Brady. Sort of like, he's going to control his side of the football, and I got leaders on defense. Tom, do you accept that kind of as part of the responsibility of being a veteran leader?
I think that's, very important from my standpoint. Certainly as a quarterback, you have a lot of responsibility that falls on you on the playing field. And, me relying on BA, who's an incredible leader for our team. And he's been on us since, my conversations with him right after the Super Bowl, and through March, through April, through May. And, he's just a great person for me to, rely on. He's got, he's won Super Bowl too. So he knows what it's like, and he's provided, I think, great leadership for our team in terms of, us staying focused. And, from the moment we all started getting together, he wanted us to, communicate, understand what we're going up against. And, he's just, I think he's really got the sense of urgency too. And I think if there's one thing we all know about him, he shoots us straight all the time. He doesn't sugarcoat it a lot. What he thinks is what he says. And that's all you can ask for as a player. And I think we all respect that. And I think, when he's like, we got to turn it up, we turn it up. And, we've got to keep that focus for a long time, really from this point in June through the end of the season. As long as that takes us, as we'll get what we earn, certainly. And, there's a long process of off-season training camp, early part of the year, mid part of the year, late part of the year, and they all build toward that. So I'm happy we're starting at the place we're at. I mean, I just think back to where I was a year ago at this time. I mean, it was very different situation in terms of what I knew, the knowledge of the offense. And I think starting at a place like I'm at now allows me a better grasp of things, better grasp of the players, certainly our coaches, what they're looking for. And we're starting at a good place. So we just got to build on it. We got to put the work in every day. None of it is, I think the great part is we have got a lot of guys that really love football. They love working at it. Even all the individual workouts we've done. I mean, there's a level of excitement about guys being together, and we have great chemistry on this team. We all root for one another. We want to see each other do our best. We hold ourselves to a high standard. I don't think that we ever think that we have all the answers or that we got everything figured out. We're here to work. We're pushed by our coaches to excel at a high level. And, they're very supportive of what we're trying to do as players. And I think that's all you can ask for.
Next, we'll go to James Palmer.
Tom, you touched on it a little bit there, so I'd like you to elaborate, if you could, to compare the throwing sessions you had with these guys last year when you didn't know the playbook to the throwing sessions you were able to have with them in this season when you know the playbook. Is there more you can get accomplished, and how were the sessions different for you last year compared to this year's?
Well, it's, just terminology and kind of knowing, there's some things in football you do. And then when you ultimately get to the season, you just don't do much of them for one reason or another. And I think last year I was trying to figure out what to do. And I think this year it's more like, no, this is the things we're going to focus on. These are the things we're going to try to improve. And a lot of it's just being on the same page and understanding timing and steps and, nonverbal communication. Because in football, you don't get the opportunity to communicate verbally very often. You do at home a little bit more. It's still a little tricky, even in a late part of last year when fans were allowed back in. But, there's hopefully going to be full stadiums at every place. You'll have the full crowd noise. A lot of it's going to be nonverbal communication where you have to rely on a lot of the things that, we're doing in those sessions that we did last year in practice. And then we got to build on those things because, it could be, the way that a guy leans his shoulder or the way that he's going to, use his hips to get open or, he's going to put his arm out or, as simple as a head nod. But there's a lot of those things that you can gain over the course of a long period of time. And we're starting at that place now, as opposed to, now we've got 15 months invested in one another as opposed to, 3 months. And I'd much rather be 15 months and 3 months because I believe that continuity in football is the key to winning. And, the more continuity you can have over a long period of time, there's just so many situations that come up over the course of the season that you're not able to sort through. You have to rely on a lot of past history. And I think, I think 15 months is better than 3 months. I think 27 months is going to be better than 15 months. So as long as we're all committed to working at it, which I know our coaches are, I know BA is, he's on us. Our position coaches, Byron is, the receivers all want to get better and improve. And I think we're going to work as hard as we can to be at a place, start training camp, and then, see what we can do from there.
We have time for a couple more. Next, we'll go to Joey Knight.
Tom, you touched on this very briefly, but one thing you have not experienced in Tampa is playing in front of a packed Raymond James Stadium. You haven't even really come close to that experience. How much are you just looking forward to that? I mean, a lot of fans have not seen you play in person here in Tampa.
Yeah, it's going to be really, I think, exciting for all of us. And we had a little taste of it in the Super Bowl where there was definitely crowd noise. There was crowd noise in Green Bay in the NFC Championship game, but there's nothing like running out there in front of a home crowd and, 70,000 people cheering. As I think for all of us who, love being on that stage, that's the excitement. We play for one game a week, 3 hours a week. Everything we do is for 3 hours in 1 week. And I don't think that's too much to ask for us to be excited in that moment. It's not like, baseball, 162 games. We had 16 games. We basically put everything we can into those 3 hours. And I think when the fans are there, they add their energy, their excitement, we feel that. And I think that's one of the best part about playing professional sports. And some guys really rise up to that moment. And I think other guys, don't. And I think it's pretty easy to see who does. And, those are guys I can count on that I trust. And I love being out there in the biggest moments with those guys. And I've got a lot on this team, Mike and Chris and Antonio, Scotty, Leonard, Rojo, Gronk, Cam, OJ, Tristan, Donnie, Ryan, Allie, Cap, Stinny. I mean, everybody on offenses loves those moments, and I saw it firsthand. So I'm excited to build on that and, see what we can do this year, because every year is going to be different. Every year is new, and there's going to be different challenges. We're going to face a lot of adversity, and we got to be prepared no matter what it takes to figure out a way to win the game.